Jeremiah O'Donovan Rossa was an Irish Fenian leader and prominent member of the Irish Republican Brotherhood. His life as an Irish Fenian is well documented, but he is perhaps known best in death for the graveside oration given at his funeral by Patrick Pearse. Biography. Life in Ireland. Jeremiah O'Donovan Rossa was born Jeremiah O'Donovan at Rianascrena, Roscarbery, County Cork, to Dennis O'Donovan and Nellie O'Driscoll, a family of tenant farmers. According to the eminent scholar John O'Donovan, with whom Rossa corresponded, Rossa's ancestors belonged to the obscure but ancient slight of the Matenezels, clan Anaslis O'Donovans. His ancestors had held letters patent in Kilmeen parish in the 17th century before the confiscations, with his agnomen, Rossa, coming from the townland of Rossmore in Kilmeen. Sir Jeremiah adopted the surname Rossa. Rossa became a shopkeeper in Skibbereen, where, in 1856, he established the Phoenix National and Literary Society, the aim of which was the liberation of Ireland by force of arms. This organization would later merge with the Irish Republican Brotherhood, founded 2 years later in Dublin. In December 1858, he was arrested and jailed without trial until July 1859. He was charged with plotting a Fenian rising in 1865, put on trial for high treason and sentenced to penal servitude for life due to his previous convictions. He served his time in Pentonville, Portland and Chatham prisons in England. Rossa was a defiant prisoner, manacled for 35 straight days for throwing a chamber pot at the prison's warden and thrown into solitary confinement on a bread and water diet for 3 days for refusing to take off his cap in front of the prison's doctor. For most of his time in prison, Rossa was denied the right of correspondence with his associates in the outside world for his violation of prison rules. In an 1869 by-election, he was returned to the British House of Commons for the Tipperary constituency, in which he defeated the Liberal Catholic Dennis Caulfield Heron by 1054 to 898 votes. The election was declared invalid because Rossa was an imprisoned felon. Life in the United States. After giving an understanding that he would not return to Ireland, in effect his exile, O'Donovan Rossa was released as part of the Fenian amnesty of 1870. Boarding the S.S. Cuba, he left for the United States with his friend John Devoy and 3 other exiles. Together they were dubbed the Cuba Five. O'Donovan Rossa took up residence in New York City, where he joined Clan Na Gael and the Fenian Brotherhood. Rossa additionally established his own newspaper dedicated to the cause of Irish national liberation from British rule, the United Irishman. In it, Rossa advocated the terroristic use of dynamite bombs as a means of overthrowing the British occupation. His paper was used to raise a so-called Resources for Civilization Fund, presumably for the purchase of dynamite and other armaments for the Irish struggle. Rossa organized the first ever bombings by Irish Republicans of English cities in what was called the Dynamite Campaign. The campaign lasted through the 1880s and made him infamous in Britain. The British government demanded his extradition from America, but without success. In 1885, Rossa was shot outside his office near Broadway by an English woman, Yo Dudley, but his wounds were not life-threatening. The British government claimed she was mentally unstable, and not acting on its behalf. Although Ross's supporters and even many of his detractors found this hard to believe, more likely, she was incensed at the fund he organized, which was intended to support the arming of those who would fight the British. Rossa was allowed to visit Ireland in 1894, and again in 1904. On the latter visit, he was made a freeman of the city of Cork. Family. O'Donovan Rossa was married 3 times and had 18 children. On the 6th of June 1853, he married Nora Riga of Skibbereen, who bore him 4 sons. She died in 1860. In 1861 he married Ellen Buckley of Castlehaven. They had one son. She died in July 1863. In November 1864 he married, for the third time, to Mary Jane Owen of Clonakilty. They had 13 children. Death and funeral. Rossa was seriously ill in his later years, and was finally confined to a hospital bed in St. Vincent's Hospital, Staten Island, where he died at the age of 83. The new Republican movement in Ireland was quick to realize the propaganda value of the old Fenian's death, and Tom Clark cabled to John Devoy the message, "Send his body home at once." His body was returned to Ireland for burial and a hero's welcome. The funeral at Glasnevin Cemetery on the 1st of August 1915 was a huge affair, garnering substantial publicity for the Irish Volunteers and the IRB at a time when a rebellion was being actively planned. The graveside oration, given by Patrick Pearse, remains one of the most famous speeches of the Irish independence movement, stirring his audience to a call to arms. It ended with the lines, "They think that they have pacified Ireland. They think that they have purchased half of us and intimidated the other half. They think that they have foreseen everything, think that they have provided against everything, but, the fools, the fools, the fools, they have left us our Fenian dead, and while Ireland holds these graves, Ireland unfree shall never be at peace." His grave was renovated in 1990 by the National Graves Association. Legacy. A memorial to O'Donovan Rossa stands in St. Stephen's Green, and a bridge over the River Liffey was renamed in his honour. A street in Cork City bears his name, as does a street in Thurles, Co. Tipperary, the constituency where he was elected. A park in Skibbereen is also named after him, as is the local Gaelic football team. A memorial to O'Donovan Rossa stands in the village of Rianascrena, Roscarbery, Cork, where his descendants run the local village pub. Other GAA teams throughout Ireland have also been named after him, including Ardba O'Donovan Rossa in the Tyrone GAA, O'Donovan Rossa GAC in Belfast, O'Donovan Rossa Macha Fialta in the Derry GAA, and O'Donovan Rossa Mullockbreek in Armagh GAA. The descendants of Jeremiah O'Donovan Rossa made their homes in Staten Island. They include writer William Rossa Cole and New York City Councillor Jerome X. O'Donovan. Works, A History of Ireland, in epic verse. O'Donovan Ross's prison life, 6 years in 6 English prisons. Ross's Recollections, 1838 to 1898. Irish Rebels in English Prisons, a record of prison life. Republications. Ross's Recollections, 1838 to 1898. Memoirs of an Irish Revolutionary.